Welcome back to the DNaz channel. I am your host, DNaz, and today we are getting into the #1 drug in America and around the world that everybody is addicted to, and that is sugar. Sugar is the #1 drug that has us all addicted, and it is the leading cause to most of diseases and illnesses that we all suffer from. But I can't just go ahead and blame sugar without giving you some knowledge about what sugar is and the types of sugar that we are consuming and the problem that we are facing today. So, first, I want to get into what sugar is. Sugar is a carbohydrate that provides our body energy, right? It gives our body essential energy or calories. The energy our body burns off is measured in calories, right? So when sugar is broken down in our bodies, it is broken down into glucose, right? This glucose is the main fuel source for our body's cells. Glucose is what fuels our cells and it fuels our brain and everything, right? So you have two types of sugars. You have monosaccharides, which is glucose and fructose, and then you have complex sugars like disaccharides, which is like sucrose and lactose. Okay, so natural sugar is found in fruits, fructose. Okay, milk, which is lactose. All right, and then we have processed sugars like table sugars, which is sucrose, right? And then honey falls in that category, and syrup falls in that category, like maple syrup. All right. So the sugar that we are consuming, by definition, is a sucrose. All right. That's a disaccharide. All right. And it's made up of two sugars. It's made up of glucose and fructose. So these two sugars are bound together, right? But sugar is naturally made by green plants, right? And normally the plants that we get sugar from are sugar cane or sugar beets. All right. So again, why is it important? Well, again, glucose is the main fuel for all of our body's cells. Okay. And especially the brain. So our brain uses half of our body's sugar intake and glucose for thinking, memory, and learning. Okay. So people think, oh, if we go out and be active, we're burning up all this energy. But really, while you're sitting here watching videos or you're intaking or trying to learn, you're burning way more energy because our body uses half of its energy in order to think and in order to learn and use its memory. Okay. So this is our fuel. So sugar is important for our bodies, right? It converts proteins, fats, and carbohydrates into glucose for immediate energy, right? And then for later use, it stores energy as glycogen, all right? And it uses that for later use. So what we have, the main problem we have here today is excess sugar, right? They say we want to take in about 6 tablespoons of sugar a day, but we way surpass that. I mean, just one of our cups of coffee probably has 6 tablespoons of sugar in it, and that's supposed to be your daily intake, right? So when you have your added sugars, these are called added sugars, your excess sugar intake. Okay, these provide calories without nutrients, right? And this contributes to weight gain, health risks like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And almost everybody today in America is a pre-diabetic, right? We are all suffering from diabetes. And, if we don't have full-blown diabetes, we are pre-diabetic because of all the cereals and processed food that we eat that takes in all this excess sugar, right? And excess sugar, it leads to tooth decay, metabolic issues, inflammation, and chronic diseases, okay? So we need to learn to take in sugar in moderation and take in sugars from more natural places. There's nothing wrong with getting sugar from your fruits, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's all these processed foods and all this table sugar that we're like adding to our coffee and this processed sugar that we are taking in. That is what's really affecting us, okay? it triggers dopamine release, right? So it affects our mood. It triggers the reward center in our brain, and it gives us quick spikes, and then we crash. That's why people who drink a lot of coffee, you experience these crash outs during the day. Sugar is addictive because it triggers that reward system in your brain and releasing that dopamine, right? And it triggers your pleasure neurotransmitter, okay? So this is very similar to drugs like cocaine or morphine, right? It creates a powerful positive feedback loop system in your brain. So you're taking in sugar, you're getting a sugar rush, like a sugar high, and that's your reward system right there. And then when you don't have it or you're crashing out, you have cravings. That's what makes your cravings and your compulsive consumption, right? This leads to withdrawal symptoms like headaches, fatigue, all sorts of things. I know a lot of people, they experience headaches when they don't have their coffee. That's a problem. This is an addictive withdrawal symptom, okay? The cycle involves other issues like emotional eating, right? When you're emotional or you're stressed, you go into eating, right? That's because you're craving something. You're craving that sugar intake, okay? So a lot of people, we also have difficulty stopping sugar. We have a hard time staying away from the foods that are high in sugars, right? We crave those foods, right? Anybody that eats a lot of cereal will tell you, and I was victim of this too, right? We crave these foods and it's hard to stop them. We are so addicted to sugar that we even know that these foods are very harmful to our children, yet we give them to our children anyway. It's not all of our faults because they have us addicted to it, right? This all has to do with the marketing of sugar. And what I mean by this is sugar is the #1 imported and exported drug in the world, okay? The US alone imports roughly 3 to 4 million metric tons of sugar annually. 3 to 4 million tons of sugar annually they import. That's just importing, okay? These are coming from the two main plants, the sugar cane, which grows in tropical climates, and sugar beet, which is more temperate climates. So sugar beet is grown in places like European countries, and sugar cane is grown through warmer countries like Brazil and India. These are the major producers of sugar, right? This is where it's mainly grown. And so one thing I want to show you is that the city attorney of San Francisco, David Chiu, right? He just filed a lawsuit in December of 2025. So just this December, he filed a lawsuit against major ultra-processed food manufacturers, okay? These are companies like Kraft, Coke, Kellogg, Pepsi, and General Mills. All of them are on his list to be in this lawsuit, okay? Because they use deceptive marketing. And what I mean by that is, so they'll give you these cereal commercials and they'll put cartoons on it like Tony the Tiger, right? And they make it seem all great. Not only that, when we were kids, they had the food pyramid triangle and they told you should eat cereal, right? Cereal's on the list of where you should get your fiber and where you should get your multivitamins from. They tell you that these cereals are good. These cereals are some of the worst things for you. And I will be doing a video about cereal, right? But this is about sugar. And cereal is one of the highest containing sugar products out there. So they're using these products and they're using cartoons and they are targeting your kids, specifically targeting your kids because they know what sells and they know that you're already addicted to it. They know your kids are already addicted to it. What are the main foods that your kids want? They want these sugary foods. That's what they always ask for. Can I have candy? Can I have this? Can I have cereal, right? Because your kids are already addicted to it because they're addicted to that dopamine rush, that sugar high, right? So this city attorney, David Chiu of San Francisco, he is using this lawsuit against these companies for creating deceptive marketing, just like that, like using cartoons and targeting kids, right? And for creating for lying to the public, for telling them that it's safe to consume these foods when actually they're giving us cancer, they're making us addicted, and they're giving us obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. So we really need to be aware of what we are giving ourselves and our children, because they are marketing us and our children through commercials and just targeted ways. You have to realize that the way we get caught in is from these images, right? Just like I'm making a video for you to watch right now, I'm using these images to capture you. They are doing the same thing. At least I'm honest in telling you what I'm doing. They're not openly telling you what they're doing, right? But they know what they're doing. They are using this as a marketing tool to capture your vision and to put these images in your brain and to make you crave and want them more, right? So we need to get rid of processed foods like cereals. Granola is another one. It's terrible. Protein bars, cookies, cakes, and pastries, right? Even our condiments and our sauces like ketchup, barbecue sauce, our salad dressings, all these things have high concentrations of sugar, and not just normal sugar, the man-made sugar, right? The artificial sugar. So we want to be getting it. Like I said, sugar isn't all bad. Okay. We need sugar to fuel our body, to fuel our cells, to fuel our brain, because again, our brain takes half of our sugar intake just for thinking and memory and learning. So we want to get sugar from natural places like our fruits, like berries, apples, bananas, oranges, grapes, all good sources of sugar, right? Our vegetables have sugar. Carrots, sweet potatoes, beets, corn, peas, all good sources of sugar. Even dairy, right? Milk and yogurt. You shouldn't have dairy in excess, but it is a natural source of sugar. And then there are minimal processed foods like brown rice. See, white rice, it has high sugar content, but if you switch to brown rice, you're being a little bit more healthy. Or if you like pasta, go to whole grain pasta, you know? So we need to start making these healthy life decisions, and we need to start realizing that we are all getting addicted to these substances, and they are targeting us. They are using these commercials and advertisement to target us and make us want more. We have a severe problem in this country with being addicted to sugar. And once you quit sugar, you will have more energy. You are going to go through the withdrawal symptoms, right? You are going to have cravings because it's a drug. And that's why I labeled this the number one drug, right? It kills more people than heroin, cocaine, any other drug you can think of. Sugar kills more people. Look up how many people die a year from these sugar-linked diseases, heart disease, diabetes, all this, right? These are the highest known cause of death in our country and around the world, right? Other countries that are more rural and aren't so Americanized and don't have so much processed food, they don't have these big diabetes problems like we have, right? It's because most of the food that we eat in America is processed. It's so hard to get away from processed food, but we can do the best we can, and we can eat more natural foods and more vegetables and start taking care of ourselves better. So let's all realize that sugar is a drug. Your body gets a high from sugar. That's why you crave sugary things. That's why you crave your coffee even more. Yes, caffeine's addictive, but it's not so bad for you. It's the sugar that is in your caffeine. That is what we are so addicted to. That is what is destroying our health. So we need to become more aware of this. And if you want more knowledge on this, I want you to come back to the DNaz channel, because I'm here to give you this knowledge. And if you haven't, like and subscribe and come back for more. You are watching the DNaz channel, and we will see you next time. Peace.